Hey guys, welcome to the woods. Well, it's still raining, but it's not pouring like it was, so I'm dry, but my phone is only going to handle so much. But if it doesn't pour down, we're going to knock this thing out. So, got some analogies to play with in the sort of the umbrella of what's unconditional love. What does it mean that God doesn't have any preference and that he's accepting of everything, and we don't need to ask for forgiveness? The only reason that the church ever focused on forgiveness is because forgiving ourselves is the important thing, and sometimes saying it out loud to other people helps us too. It doesn't help the other person, because in the Catholic Church, that's how I was raised, but I don't really resonate with the sort of the strict linear view of things and the rules that have come out of it. But I think there's a lot of good deep spiritual stuff in all religions. So I really feel like if there's anything to be said about religions, is that they all are trying to lead you the same spot. But what's that spot? Your innermost desire, your path of least resistance, your blissful self, wherever you're trying to go, whatever you're trying to experience. Now, so let's go back to these analogies I wanted to share with you. Let's say one of them is you got kids going out to school playground. Teacher walks out, the kids are all out there to play, they're able to do whatever they want. They say they're first graders, somewhere in that range. And the teacher knows that some days kids are going to get in a fight. And some days kids are going to get in a real fight and bite each other. And some days things are going to get broken. And some days some kids are going to cry. And some days some kids are going to laugh. And some days people are going to embrace and love, and they're going to express a deep inner child simplicity of, I just love you and I'm so happy. So there's all the emotions are going to happen out on that playground. All today? No, probably not. But when they happen, is the teacher really surprised? No. Is he really mad? Like, I can't believe this child. Nowadays, well, I got to call the parents, he bit a kid, So yeah, there's protocols. But nobody's surprised that everyone's child, I had 4 kids, all 4 of them have bit before. It's just a thing you do. So we tell them, maybe biting's not a good idea, but they're going to grow out of it. So anyway, so we don't really care what game the children pick out there. If they want to play hide and seek or kickball, or all just play on the swings, or they want to just sit and draw, you don't care. You'd like them to be happy, but if somebody's going to be sad sitting by themselves, you might go over and say, I wish you had a different view of things and you felt happier today. And there might be something you're like, oh, I can go fix something for them, But anyhow, for the most part, let kids be as they want to be. Put another analogy out there. Say you're a first grader and a senior comes to visit class. And he wants to talk to you about, well, when you're a senior, you get to fall in love with someone else. And you get to have your girlfriend and carry your backpack and carry your books. And we get to snuggle and we hold hands walking down the hall and all this great stuff. And the little first graders are like, yeah, I don't like girls. So it's such a different vantage point of what that love is. They both experience, they both know what love is, but how do they talk about it? How do they talk about the life journey, the senior to the first grader? You could tell little anecdotal stories, but you're not going to get it. That's much like, Jesus coming here and trying to explain to us who we really are. And then we talk about it for a long time, then somebody finally writes it down 100 years later, and over the next few 100 years we write it a bunch more times, and then we decide we like this story, we don't like that one, input this one, take out that one, and then you think you have a story of how this all works. Well, how do you plug in things like unconditional love? If it's unconditional love, then there's no preference. Then it's more like the kids on the playground. It's like, well, I don't like the kid who hugged the other out of sheer bliss of, you are just such a beautiful person, I want to hug you, as the 2 little kids hugging in the playground, sharing things, are not the more preferred than the 2 boys who got in a fight and bit each other. Sorry, that's just the way it is. There's not a preferred. They're all loved, and they're all welcome back into the classroom, and they're all going to move on through life, and they'll all grow up to be who they're going to be. And regardless, we've all bit when we were kids. All my 4 kids all bit somebody at some point in time in their life. Some of them like to do it for a long time. Some did it once and like, I guess I won't do that again. So there's certain preferences. Some people come in with a little bit more of a, I want to jump in, head first into life, and they're, they've got a different vibration, different energy. And that's beautiful, because as a teacher, you get to see it all oh, look at these kids are running. Every day they come out here, they are running, and a lot of drama. And these two little girls sit over here and read their books sitting next to each other. And, yeah, they're both beautiful, but they're different. So let's play. Did I hit all the analogies? So you got the kids in school, don't have any concept what it's like to be a senior, but they will get it. Now, does the first grader want to just say, that's senior, that seems like the way to be, let me be a senior? No, he wants second grade, he wants summer between grades, he wants third grade, he wants summer vacation going to camp, then he wants fourth grade, he wants to be the top man in the elementary school when he's in sixth grade. And you know, all these events through life, he wants his first time a girl wrote him a little note and said, I think you're cool. You know, all those little steps that everyone wants. You don't want to be a senior, so don't look at anybody else and say, oh, I want to be more of this or that. Just bump yourself in a little, lean in the direction that you feel pulled by your innermost desire. How do you know what that is? Well, what does God want me to do? He doesn't have a preference. What do I want to do? I'm a God source. I'm a co-creator. I'm tapped in, tuned in, turned on to the collective consciousness, the all-knowing, all-loving God energy, light of divinity, whatever you want to call it. I'm tapped in the moment, in my breath, in my calmness. I can feel where I want to go. I can sift through life. I can sift through pros and cons to each one. And I don't know all the answers to everything, but I can lean a little direction. And that's how you get from first grade to senior, and then out into the big world and do what you want to do. And trust me, we're much, you know, planet Earth. I've heard people talk about this sort of scenario with more details about how we vibrationally attach to different planets, and we learn from different planets, give different experiences, and all kinds of craziness that you guys would be like, well, Dan's a whack job. But anyway, that's all out there, and whatever, we'll talk about another time. But the point was that the analogy was given that we're like, in our understanding of who we really are, we're like kindergartners. And it's not that we're going to eventually grow to be a senior in high school. It's that you are a senior in high school. You are human. You are going to be that. You are God's source energy ball. You're going on forever. You're going to be a senior. When, it doesn't matter. It's just how long do you want to sort of play with each step. Just nudge in the direction of your innermost desire. It's simple. So my real point in this whole conversation is just to encourage everyone to just ease up a little bit. Don't be so sure you know how things are supposed to play out, and that you can say, this is definitely wrong and I don't like it, and I think God's asking me to go stop it. He's got unconditional love, and he may find everything okay, but he secretly told in my ear, go fix that. Don't let that happen. Make that stop. And yes, there are times when the most loving thing to do in your nudge is to make a stand against something. But if somebody doesn't do the something that you don't like, then you can't experience being the person who's going to nudge them to stop. But you got to watch what energy you're coming to the I want it to stop. And that starts to get maybe a little bit too much into the meat of the matter. I can go into the meat of the matter when I'm tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and really totally feeling the perfection of the whole world. Then I can look at stuff like that and say, yeah, I could see where if I were to love on that problem, it would go away. So my withholding, my love and acceptance of everything around me is causing some of that flare up, some of that tension in that part of the world, or however you want to look at it. There are things that we would prefer not to be happening. There's suffering that we see that we're like, does that really have to happen? And no, but we have a collective consciousness. This all gets more complicated. We won't go too much into this, but this collective consciousness sort of creates an energy vibration. The planet has its energy vibration. Its location in the galaxy creates an energy vibration. The energy vibration right now is tricky, and it's going to be very difficult for us to totally shine all the love vibration that we really are. So going back to the teacher analogy, the teacher realizes that. He doesn't have big expectations here, but he's also not really worried about somebody being killed or things being taken from them or suffering or physically ill or any of those kinds of things. They're called life experiences. not all good. I get it. They're not all fun. But the spiritual masters have all said you can overcome all that. You can rise above. So if we're trying to rise above this plane, this earth plane's struggles, by accepting, being conscious of the moment and saying, you know what, in the moment there is nothing wrong. Everything is perfect the way it's working out. And you say, perfect, that's the way God wanted it? Doesn't have a preference. But he knows that there's no consequence here. There's nothing really at stake. There's nothing that can happen to me. I'm just an energy ball. I just keep moving. I can't be taken away. I can create matter and I can leave matter and I can go on to the other side, but it's still right here. You still have influence. You still, are focusing on the moment. So I'm not going to get into all those kind of details, but let's play with one more analogy. Let's say we're seniors in high school and we're going to be in the school play. And everybody's in the school play from the senior class, and some people got the role of the villain, and some people got the role of the victim, and another girl and boy got to play the part of the couple who's in love, and then there's some people in there who are showing some of their gifts of enlightenment or big accomplishments in their life or whatever that they get to kind of show off. So everybody has their part. Now the villain, his job is to make that anger energy real. Everyone on the stage has got to feel it, and certainly the audience has got to feel it. Now, the villain plays that energy really well, and you feel it. It's like, that's a nasty, angry man. How did he get that kind of energy? Where did that come from? Man, he's scary. He's doing a really good job. So the people in the audience don't say, let's go up there and get him. He's about to kill the beautiful woman because the other guy has her and he wants her. So he's going to kill her. Why doesn't the audience jump up and say, that's real anger and I feel it, and she's going to die and she's going to be out of the play. She's not coming back to the play, and we've got a whole bunch more scenes to happen. Why doesn't the audience jump up? Because they know it's a play. There's no consequence here. Yes, she'll be out of the play. Not that she'll get another part next time, or she can be into acting and do this all the time if she likes to. But look at the loving couple. Oh my gosh, they're not really even a couple, but man, they're a couple now because they've really turned on the love juice. They've really experienced it. They really went deep, and the audience could feel it. Wow, that scene with the loving couple was out of this world. And then the people who played the part of huge success, maybe they're the ones who made all the money. It's like, I'm the big entrepreneur and I've got all this money and success and fame, and it's like, that's cool, you played that part well. Which one do you prefer at the end? Who gets the award? Well, the loving couple, of course, because we want more love on the world. That's a pretty primitive outtake on it. The villain could have really done the best job. Oftentimes villains do get the award at the end of the play. It's how well did you play your part? That's what really matters here. But you got to take that, you got to have a deep sense of there is no consequence here. And this time on earth is like the time of being in a play. Well, it's an hour-long play at the end of the school year. Ease up. So I'm being the villain. Doesn't make me a bad guy. Now, I might walk out of the play and still be like, elbowing the girls and pushing people down and still in that vibe. And I probably was in that vibe a bit to get really into that role. And it might be something that I'm more comfortable doing anyway. This, some of these boys and seniors in high school couldn't have pulled off that vibration if they tried. So, yeah, there might be something about me that I can experience that more. So the teacher picked the right person to play the role. But still, in the end, there's really no victim. And that's what the spiritual masters have always said, that I've had to chew on all my life. I'm like, how does that really work? How does that work? If you chew on it long enough, it does make sense. There's no preferred way of being. Just come here and experience. Your kids on the playground, or your seniors in the school play, or whatever. You're an eternal being made in the image and likeness of God, and you're going to do great things. And there's no getting it wrong, and there's nowhere you need to be. There's nothing you need to accomplish here. There's nothing you need to prove to anybody. It's just, who do you want to be? And your soul wants to be love, because that's where the souls are going. We're all going back to the collective, the whole universe is going to suck back together through trillion years from now, And that would be like the God source all coming back together. And then it'll probably expand back out. Just like everything, all, you know, the sun is a big ball trying to blow up into the universe, and a lot of mass trying to suck itself together. So it's trying to suck into a black hole and be nothing, and it's trying to blow up into be particles all over the galaxy. And that little hum right in the middle there is just magic. And that's what we got going on here. It's called first grade. And we can't get it wrong, can't mess it up, and you're gonna grow up no matter what. So enjoy the ride, relax, take it easy. You ever talk to mediums who talk to channeled people from the other side? It's always the answer when they come to that kind of part. What would you do differently? I would have taken it easy a little bit. I'd have just let it be and enjoyed myself. And if you took it easy and you enjoyed yourself and you realized that you're just a player on the stage, then you probably would be more supportive of everybody around. And wouldn't the planet be a much nicer place if everybody was a little more supportive, understanding, allowing, accepting of what is? I think so. So that's it. We're at 15 minutes, and hopefully that was inspirational, but it probably, that's a tricky one. That's not a conversation you can have just sort of out of the blue. So hopefully you sort of were in the right mindset to listen to that. Because there's a lot you could pick at it and say, well, what are you saying about Hitler? Let's look at that point real quick. So yeah, Hitler was like our token child of the villain. Well, he boiled up on the planet because if you look at history, the whole planet was discussing and thinking about that whole genocide thing. Like, what have we gotten? You know, what would the inner city be like if we didn't have the people that were all the trouble? Or what would it be like if we didn't have, they cause a lot of trouble over in that continent, and those people. Maybe what if we just thinned out those people and brought in more of us people? Would the planet be better? Wouldn't God appreciate that? And on a simple level, some people thought, maybe that's what God wants us to do. And that's why it took us so long to jump in and stop him. He was just the one willing to sort of say, yeah, it's a good idea, let's do it. But a lot of countries, you look into the history, a lot of countries were thinking and dabbling with the same thing. We sort of watched what he did, and then we all said, no, that isn't right. And we grew, and we learned. Now you say, well, a lot of people suffered and died. That's true, but people are going to die, and suffering, a lot of people are suffering over the whole concept that there's much more involved here than there really is. You'll suffer less if you just back off and let things be a little bit, but then who do you want to be? When you really accept yourself and you love yourself, then who do you want to be? Who do you want to act out? Where do you want to shine your love? What difference do you want to make in the world? So it's like then in the end you end up being the good person. You end up being proactive and stopping things that you don't like to see happen, but with a different mindset, with a little sense of, I understand that these pieces have all been in play for a long time. I'm just inviting us all to look at it from another angle. So, I don't know. I'm not going to keep developing. My mind keeps going. But time's up. So I'm just going to end with, love you guys. It's raining out, so throw love bombs. I don't know how that connects, but it's getting wet. See ya. Love you.